Welcome to The Helping Conversation, an exploration and celebration of the practice, art, and science of facilitating trusting, safe, inclusive, and effective helping conversations with others. Recorded at RockVox Recording and Production Studios, Rochester, New York, Mouth Off at RockVox, rockvox.com. Having enjoyed an almost 40-year career facilitating his own authentic brand of the helping conversation, your host, Executive and Recovery Coach, Keith Greer.
Hello, everybody. And as always, thank you so much for making the time in your very busy day to sit in on this episode of The Helping Conversation. I don't know if it's possible to pick up a newspaper, a magazine, look online, on any social media, and not see some article somehow related to some combination of physical fitness, healthy living, wellness, and an epidemic that is going on in our country, which is the epidemic of obesity. It is well documented and appears from everything I read, and I am far from an expert. In fact, our very special guests today are experts on this. It appears to be getting worse, not better, among all age groups. So I did a little research in preparation for our episode today, and just before I introduce our guests, let me share some of what I found. Is that right now the U.S. adult obesity rate stands at 42.4%, the first time the national rate has passed the 40% mark. The national obesity rate has increased by 26% since the year 2008. Obesity affects 1 in 6 children in the United States, and it's linked to more than 60 chronic diseases. Now, this is from 2017, so I'm assuming this is, again, probably not better, but a little bit worse. All 50 states presently, or back in 2017 when this research was done, have an obesity rate over 20%. Just 2 decades ago, no state had a rate above 15%. When it comes to us men, researchers have found that men with waist circumferences in the highest 10% of measurements were 20 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than men whose waist circumferences fell in the lowest 10%. And from doing just a little bit of perusing online, I could go on for a couple of hours with statistics like that tell us that we are struggling. We are struggling in the choices we make about how we fuel ourselves. We're struggling in the choices we make about all things related to our general sense of wellness and health. And the other thing that I find related to this has been and I don't have any statistics on this, but the incredible increase over the last generation in the number of gyms that have opened up, in the number of folks who are involved in the industry of weight management and health and wellness. And I think that tells us something. That tells us something about how serious this issue is. And I'm sure as we will get into today, it tells us something about how challenging this health-related issue is for us human beings to make some kind of significant and lasting change in our health practices. And, as many of you know who listen regularly, we talk often in here from the world of substance use disorder and how difficult it is in that world for people to make and sustain changes that lead to long-term lasting recoveries. There are some links, I think, behaviorally and neurochemically between that world and the world of overeating, and again, a little bit I know about what some people would call sugar addiction, that just speaks to a part of our brain that it is really hard to get up from the table and say no. And I don't know anyone who, when they're craving food, craves vegetables. So it seems to be a universal experience for us human beings that cravings come in the form of, let me find something that tastes really good and is not very good for me. So with all of that said, let me introduce our guests today who are going to lead us in this conversation about this issue and how they, both personally and professionally, have overcome moving in a direction of health and wellness. So Ashley and Yuri Barber are vegan weight loss coaches and co-owners of Vegan Strong and Fit. They are passionate about helping others with a plant-based approach to holistic health and weight loss. For over 30 years, Yuri and Ashley were living it up on the American diet. I so relate to that. Burgers, chicken, anything meaty, fried and sweet. That is what their lives were about, exploring the most amazing foods worldwide. After dealing with multiple health issues, obesity, and chronic fatigue, they knew they had to make a change. They dove into the research and decided to commit themselves to a vegan lifestyle. In response to that, they were able to lose over 150 pounds together and are still going strong. After doing further research in the world of veganism, they were amazed to find all the additional benefits that it has on our planet as well. I love that. Systems thinkers here. They knew this was their lifestyle forever. This was their way to make a positive contribution to the world. So their mission has been to learn how to cook incredible food that is also incredible for your body and to share all of that they have learned with the world, so that they can create a healthier generation and a happier planet. Ashley is a certified fitness, nutrition, and wellness expert, and Yuri is a certified fitness, nutrition, and weight loss expert. They are passionate about helping others with a plant-based approach to holistic health and weight loss. Please join me in welcoming into the helping conversation Ashley and Yuri Barber. How you doing, guys?
Doing great, thank you. I was listening to that introduction. I'm like, wow, we sound pretty good.
You know, it's so funny you say that, Ashley, because anytime I speak somewhere or I'm in any situation where somebody introduces me and they read my bio, I always think, God, my mom would really like to hear that, right? Like, yeah, that sounds.
Sitting here thinking the same thing.
Same thing. That sounds pretty good.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of weight.
Well, thank you for sitting in with me today and being a part of this very specific type of helping conversation that, as I said, appears to be. These kinds of changes just appear to be so challenging for people. So in addition to my introduction, I always ask my guests just to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about what your journey has been that has you sitting here today in this business of yours, doing this kind of work in making the world a healthier place.
Yeah, so my journey, when I was in elementary school, I was chronically sick. I was at the doctor constantly. I had symptoms of pretty much morning sickness that you would think of with pregnancy. I mean, every morning I'd wake up nauseous, throwing up, just constantly sick at the doctor, to the point to where they told my mom they needed to take me to a psychiatrist because it was in my head. Luckily, I say this kind of like in quotes, luckily I got into a car accident in middle school. And because of that, they finally did x-rays and realized that I was constipated up to my chest.
Whoa.
Yes. So it was severe to the point where I would have, like, my whole body would just feel like it was on fire. I wouldn't be able to move. I would be in severe pain because the toxins had gotten into my bloodstream before they ever realized that I was constipated. And I was flushed out, at the hospital, many different types of medications that I was put on, and basically was told that this is how I would always be. I would always have this constipation issue. And since going vegan, which that wasn't even the reason we went vegan, because in my mind, I just assumed this was all what I was going to live with for the rest of my life.
Right.
But since going vegan, I've not had those issues anymore.
Wow. Yes. So that, and I don't want to label this a little change, because my limited understanding of eating in a vegan way is not a little change. It's a pretty significant lifestyle change.
Yes.
But that one change alleviated these symptoms you had for really the entirety of your life.
Pretty much, yes.
Wow. That if that's not motivation, I don't know what is, right? To keep moving down that road. So how about for you, Yuri? What's this journey been like that has you here doing this kind of work?
Well, there's only one way to put it. Just veganism itself has pretty much saved my life. When my mom, well, both parents, mom and dad, both have diabetes, high blood pressure. My older brother had a heart attack maybe 5 years ago. And then our father had a heart attack maybe 3 or 4 weeks after that. And he just turned 60 beginning of this year. And he's already had 2 strokes. And then just pretty much seeing what my future could be.
Right.
Heading down that path, because I don't know how I think. You see people, your grandparents or your parents and cousins have heart attacks, have all these chronic diseases, and you just automatically just assume there's nothing you can do to prevent it.
Right.
That if I choose to eat this food, it's just going to affect me that way. Instead of thinking, what can I do to change that? Maybe I'll change my lifestyle. Maybe I'll do this exercise or something like that. So I was listening to a podcast, and the woman said, chicken is the devil. And I was driving with my kids. You know how you barely pay attention to what's going on, but you hear chicken is the devil. And that kind of caught my attention. Like, me, I love fried chicken.
At this point in time, every Tuesday we would go to Buffalo Wild Wings and get the buy one get free chicken wings.
Right.
And so that was kind of our lifestyle, and to hear that was like, wow.
Yeah, that's not even the bad part. We would get those wings and then go to the gym, work out, and then go home and finish off the trip.
Right. Somehow those few minutes at the gym were going to cancel out everything you just put into your body, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I heard that chicken is the devil, and then I really started listening to it, and they was talking about how a plant-based approach can prevent diseases and stuff like that. So that's when I told Ashley about it. I was like, hey, we need to consider this vegan lifestyle.
So how long into your relationship with each other were you living this lifestyle that right now you would look back on and say was not very healthy?
Well, in June is our 10-year anniversary.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
We've just transitioned to, thank you. We just transitioned to a vegan lifestyle just over a year ago. So we were about 9 years into our marriage.
Right. And was this like, I just want to have a clear picture. So was this literally you like got out of the car after hearing this woman say chicken was the devil, and you walked in and said, Ashley, we got to make some changes here?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I probably either she called me on break or something, or I text her.
He was like, you have to listen to this podcast when you get off work. And we started listening to it. I said, okay, we can make this change, but okay. And first of all, we weren't even planning to go vegan. We were just planning to go pescatarian at the time.
Okay. So define that for any of my listeners. What does that mean?
Sure. So pescatarian is still consuming dairy, eggs, and fish.
Okay.
But you're getting rid of the meat. Mm-hmm.
All meat.
Yeah.
Right.
So we were planning to just transition to pescatarian lifestyle. And I told him, I said, if we do this, we have to make this change like lasting, because I'm not going to make all these changes and what we have in the kitchen and what we're changing for our kids too, because we were doing this as a family.
Right.
And I think that kind of caught him off guard.
Here we are in April, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Thanksgiving comes around, and everybody's going to be eating turkey, and I can't have like just a slice of turkey, maybe. So, yeah, she said that, and then I was like, okay, if we're going to do this, I may as well be all in.
Yeah.
That's it. Right.
Yeah.
No halfway with this kind of change. Yeah.
And once we started transitioning, we took out the meat. We were still eating, again, the fish and dairy and eggs. But after about 3 weeks, we noticed we were only having it maybe once or twice a week anyway, and we didn't really need it anymore. So we just decided to go all in.
Wow. That's great. All right. So I need you to educate me, and I can't imagine that I'm the only one who will need this education. With all the different, like you just used I think pescatarian, I think was what the term you used. Which for all I know could be a whole nother religion that I've just never heard about. So define specifically what veganism is, what you can eat, what you can't eat, that would keep you in that ballpark of saying, I am a vegan.
Sure. And honestly, I think that this is still really broad
Right.
because many people have different definitions of vegan. So I will tell you, I believe what the standard term of vegan is versus kind of how we view it in our lifestyle and our practice.
Okay.
So the standard vegan is abstaining from any use of animal products or anything that would cause harm to animals. So you're going to stay away from the clothing, materials,
Oh.
any products that have been tested on animals. It really is a true lifestyle to be vegan. Now, as far as, and that's also including no meat products, you're excluding any dairy, eggs, fish, also certain candies like gummy bears because of the gelatin.
Gelatin.
Actually,
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of, your milk chocolates and things
Ooh.
like that.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of that. We do abstain from the foods that are included. Some vegans will say honey is okay because it is natural, and some do not use honey because of many of the big manufacturing. The way they get the honey is
Right.
actually harming the honeybees.
Honeybees.
So there are, I think there's kind of like a fine line on that one. In general, we do try to abstain from anything that uses animal products. So that would be like leathers and things like that too, wool. But I'm not going to say that I sit here and I am overly cautious of the clothing that I buy.
Right.
I don't check all the labels and things like that, but if it's leather, I don't buy it. But also for the purpose of our health and in that aspect, it's more of a way that we eat for
Right.
us. And it is majority, the reason we started this is because of the health benefits behind it. However, like you mentioned, we also, after learning and researching, understood more about how it affects the environment and how it affects the animals. And therefore, we started making other changes in our life.
Right. Yeah, and I think I know for me, as I just did a little research into it, that part was new to me. That I had some idea of what the eating part was about, but really taking it to, I don't want to use the word extreme, just taking it to the next level. That there's a part of this lifestyle that is about really being connected to the earth and what's best for the earth.
And I think that's what scares a lot of people away from it, to be honest. Also that and the stereotype of how vegans are, right? Because a lot of people do join these social media groups and things like this, and they're trying to make a change.
Right.
But then you have those holier than thou vegans who are like, well, you did this, that's a mistake. I can't believe you did that. That cost this, and this. And, we don't believe in taking that approach. As a matter of fact, even with our clients, we never force them to become vegan.
Yeah.
That is an option for them in their meal plans, but we work with them because the thing is, even if you're reducing your consumption, number one, you're greatly increasing your health.
Yes.
And number two, you are also affecting the environment in a positive way. So I would never sit there and give someone a hard time when they're doing something to make a change, even if it's not all in.
Yeah. So what I love about that part is again, in the world of helping others, that you walk into your work with folks and say to them, you tell me where you want to start. And wherever you want to start is good. Right. So, that really honors people as the best resource in their own life. And look, I don't think there's anything very special about this dynamic with folks who practice veganism. I think in every single group you find people who can get stuck. This is my term. They get stuck in their righteous sense of rightness. And if you don't do it how I say you are going to do it, then you're not doing it right. And don't realize that what that usually causes is people to run away and not want to engage with them. So it sounds like your clients are blessed with two people who say, tell us where you want to get this journey started, and we're with you.
Yes.
So one of the other things I'm curious about before we jump into some of the specifics of what the two of you do with your clients, I'm always really curious with anyone who helps others. So my question would be this: if I knew the two of you when you were kids or teenagers, what was going on in your life? What were you active in? What were you a part of? How did you interact with other human beings that would have been evidence back then that you were destined to help others?
I was drumline captain in high school marching band.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably my big thing. I did that, and I did a lot of volunteer work and tutoring in school and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. How about for you, Yuri?
Me, I guess I was tearing my muscles apart in the weight room, lifting weights, trying to get bigger arms, bigger legs, get as strong as I possibly could.
Yeah, yeah. So were you an athlete in school?
No, I really never. I was always hanging with friends and stuff instead of actually being active in sports.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So fill us in a little bit on, well, I guess one of the first things I'm curious about is who shows up. Like when you think about the clients that you work with in general, I realize this is a very general question. Who tends to show up, gives you a call and says, I need your help?
Yeah, so most of the clients that we work with are those who are significantly obese, who have either tried multiple diets in the past or just don't even know how to really start. And they see the changes that we've made, or they see the changes that our clients have made, and they're like, hey, I really need your help.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
So
just people who's pretty much just looking to get out there and make a change.
Right.
They know the path that they're on is not leading to the destination or results that they're hoping for.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm imagining that folks who show up and say, I would like to work with you, just knowing the up and down of this behavior, have probably tried a variety of other mechanisms, strategies, models, programs, you name it, and have not found lasting success.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I was that person, if I came to you and said, all right, I've done this, and this, and sometimes I lose weight, but then it comes back on, or what would you say to me that would be something that might motivate me to believe there is something about this thing the two of you have going that could be different for me?
I would say that, well, you've done this, and this. We've done that as well. We've done all the diets, all the nutrients, all the keto, the this, and we've tried it all. And pretty much with our journey, we've pretty much learned that diets do not work.
Right.
They're short term, and we don't look at it as a diet. We look at it as a lifestyle change.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas, when you're on a diet, you feel deprivation, right? And that's one of the big keys that makes you gain that weight back, and many times even more weight than you started with.
Right.
It's because you feel so deprived when you're on a diet that when you get done, number one, you kill your metabolism when you eat too few calories.
Right.
And number two, you're so deprived that when you start binging back on those foods that you missed, then you're going to gain the weight back, and many times more weight than you started with. So we help our clients to understand that. And also what we do is we have them set a goal for themselves. I'm talking your long-term, give me an idea of what you want to look like, how you want to feel, and also the physical capabilities that you want to accomplish. We have these 3 different goals. I don't like to focus on weight because weight is a number that is manipulated by muscle mass, water weight, stress,
Right.
fatigue,
Right.
anything can attribute to your weight. So rather than that, measurements, progress pictures, your physical capabilities, let's say that you're not even able to walk a mile without being exhausted, and your goal is to run a 5K.
Right.
That's what those are the things. I'm waking up tired. I'm not having any energy during the day, to now my energy is on an 8 out of 10 versus a 4 out of 10 when I started. These are the types of measurements and goals that we work with, because as you start gaining that energy back, then you're able to get up and do more, and then you're going to lose the weight.
Yeah.
So these are the types of things we don't want to solely stick to that weight loss goal, because that also causes an issue with a lot of people. And this was my issue in the beginning, was I was so focused on a number that I would eat so few calories during the day to hit that number that I was just obsessed. And so just kind of getting rid of that scale and only weighing maybe once every other week or so, just for tracking purposes if you want to. But the scale isn't even essential.
Right.
That's just what a lot of people view themselves as.
Yeah.
And we have a really hard time with that.
Yeah.
And then another thing would just be you have this goal that you picture for yourself, but the main thing is why.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to lose the weight? Why do you feel that you need the energy? Is it for yourself?
Right.
Are you trying to impress a female or a boy? Are you trying to fit into these jeans or bikinis and summer's right around the corner?
Right.
What has gotten you to this point where you've reached out to us?
Yeah.
You want to start this journey?
Yeah. I would imagine this conversation is so challenging in a culture where the messages we all grow up with about what beauty is, or physical fitness is, or what it looks like, or what the perfect female body or perfect male body, those messages are so warped and so confusing and so not realistic for the large majority of human beings.
Exactly. I get so tired of going on Pinterest or Google and seeing, lose 30 pounds in 15 days. And I'm like, no, you don't want to lose 30 pounds in 15 days.
Yeah. Right. It's almost a recipe for just assuming it's going to come back. And as you said, even more. So I'm curious about one type of goal. So I totally get that you don't create goals around a certain amount of weight loss. Would you create a goal if I came to you and said, I have a goal of losing 4 inches on my waist? Would that be a more appropriate goal, or is that still a little bit too much focused on?
That is 100% appropriate.
Okay.
The reason being is because the inches is going to be a great measurement for success.
Right.
Because you can actually gain weight and lose inches if you're gaining muscle, if your water weight is up, different things like that. So measurement is absolutely perfect. And especially when you're talking about your waistline, because the larger your waistline is, the more at risk you are for diabetes, heart disease, all these different chronic illnesses. And by losing those inches, that drastically improves your health.
Beautiful. So one of the
No,
go ahead.
That many times is too why we ask someone to pick a body image also, because from that we can determine how much body fat percentage you're actually looking to lose. And that body fat percentage, again, is based on your actual measurements.
Right.
So that kind of helps people visualize it more, because a lot of times people say, I want to weigh 140 pounds. But you're like 6 foot tall and maybe you have a very athletic build. Like that's not going to happen. A great idea for you. So instead of looking at that, let's look at what you want your body fat percentage to be without telling them body fat percentage, because our clients don't understand what that looks like. But if they can give us an image, we can determine what that body fat percentage is and how much you need to lose.
Okay.
And that's another thing, especially with certain goals, we always ask them to come up with attainable goals, not with saying, okay, I want to lose 50 pounds in 2 months.
Right,
or something like that.
right.
We want them to know it's a journey. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen overnight. You can't look at this person who's been training for 2 years and they got this perfect physique, and you're overweight, and you expect to come to us in 3 months, you're going to be right there where they are.
Yeah.
That's why we always tell them they may be on chapter 20. You're on chapter 1.
Right. Right.
Start at this pace, and we'll slowly get there with all the work you put in.
Yeah. But Yuri, don't you understand? Us United States citizens, we're impatient. We want what we want when we want it.
That's exactly, and that's why all these crazy supplements and teas
Right,
and
right.
diet pills, that's why these sell so good, because
Yes.
they promise immediate results.
Yeah.
And I get it. We fell into that trap, but immediate results are not lasting results.
Yeah.
You can't just skip over that. We throw ourselves deep into that trap. Hundreds of dollars a week going to DMC buying, what was it?
Oh, packets of supplements,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
packets, and then your protein powders and
Right.
all this stuff, to caffeine burst and like all this
Yeah,
crazy stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
totally putting so many chemicals into our body.
Right. Right. So you mentioned one of the things that I'm always really interested in with folks who help is and I would imagine this is so true with this conversation, because people come to you at such a vulnerable moment. At a moment when, again, as we've already mentioned, they've tried a million different things. It hasn't worked. Maybe it's never going to work. Maybe I'm never going to feel good. And so I'm always really curious with people how, as helpers in that moment, you create a sense of trust and safety with people so that they can be in that place of vulnerability. So you already mentioned one of the strategies, and that's self-disclosure. That it sounds like the two of you are very comfortable sharing your journey. And one of the things we know about self-disclosure is, for many people, it engenders hope. It just creates hope. Oh, these two human beings did it, and I'm going to learn from them. So I'm curious, what else in that moment when you're in that very intimate conversation with people? What else do you think about? Do you do that is in the name of relationship building with this person at the start of this journey?
First, I would say we like to understand what's important to the client. So, number one, like you said, we do provide our own disclosure, and that's not something that we were immediately comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's something that we've had to grow to be able to share. So that's definitely a huge thing for us. We disclose that to everyone. We have that on our podcast as well, just to help people understand that, you're not the only one going through this. We know what it's like. You can be stronger for this.
Right.
The other things is, some people are scientific and some people are feel, they go on that emotional base. So to understand exactly what's pulling them this way. Do they want that scientific background behind it, which we never had before, but after making this change and deciding to go back and get our certifications, now we have that scientific information and knowledge that we're able to share with our clients. And that many times is extremely helpful for people who have that more logical thinking. And then there are a lot of clients who are on that emotional thinking, and they want to know, how is this going to make me feel?
Right.
How is this going to affect my energy? How is this going to affect my confidence? And being able to speak to it in those types of ways as well.
Yeah, it's just added accountability, just having a conversation with people who are actively on this journey, who have started at their lowest and who have learned as much as they possibly can to continue to learn all this knowledge, and then share it with them within hopes that it goes further to their kids and passed down to generations to come.
Yeah, yeah. So you used a really interesting word, Yuri, the accountability word, because again, we know in the research of change that for many people to create and sustain change, they require a level of external accountability. And it's a fascinating conversation, because I think, at least in my work, most of us human beings have been raised to believe that if I'm motivated enough, I should just be able to make things happen on my own. And I shouldn't have to rely on support or external accountability. around my goal attainment. So I'm curious what you find in your world, and how, if your clients ask for it, how the two of you provide that level of external accountability.
Yes, so we have different programs that we offer. So we have a group wellness program which offers accountability not only from us, but also from the others in the group that are going through the same thing. We also have personal training and personal nutrition coaching. So we have different levels of accountability based on what our clients are needing. Some people are more self-starters, and they are able to provide that, or maybe they have a spouse that they're doing this with, or a friend or family member that they're doing this with, and that helps to provide more accountability. So maybe they don't need quite as much coaching. So we base it off of that. But we do have coaching calls with our clients to hold them accountable.
Beautiful.
We also provide meal plans, which we kind of taper off into everything is done for you. And then on your refeed day, we don't like to call it a cheat day because cheat implies guilt.
Yeah.
So on your refeed day,
Oh, I like that.
Then we start it as we're providing you what to do. We're teaching you how to track that. But by the last little bit of the program, you're creating that refeed day on your own based on your guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. It doesn't really benefit us if you just come to us saying you want a personalized meal plan. We just tell you, eat this on Monday, eat this Wednesday, eat this Thursday. We actually want to teach you why you're eating these vegetables, why you're eating this protein instead of this. That way you get an understanding of, okay, this food helps my body this way.
Yeah.
This is going to help with inflammation. This is going to give me energy. These cruciferous vegetables are going to keep me fuller and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's definitely the knowledge behind it and the reasoning that goes along with it, instead of just the meal plan itselove.
Yeah, because it would be great to have lifelong clients. I mean, that'd be great income, right? But the thing is, we don't want lifelong clients, because if we do, we're not doing our job. We want to actually empower them and teach them the way that we've been able to learn. And that way they can go out and not only change their lives, but make this a generational change, because that's the way we've implemented this in our family as well. And we want others to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, I honor that perspective. I always think in my world that my job is to coach myself out of work with any of my clients. That's where we're heading. All right, so I need you to help me with this one, because I have never eaten in a vegan way and I'm not very knowledgeable about it. So if I sat down to dinner with you and your 3 children, and what would be on the table?
Oh, there's so many good options. So I think one of my favorite meals is probably a nice seitan, like roasted seitan, which you can make it in any kind of flavor. I like to make it more like a chicken type flavoring.
Okay.
And have that as either a sandwich, or you can have it with like a gravy on top, and a nice vegan mac and cheese made with chickpea noodles so that they're full of protein. And it is incredible.
All right. So you're going to have to, Ashley, you have to help me understand, what is seitan?
So
Vital.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's wheat gluten. It's sort of like a flour.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically it's the protein out of the gluten.
Okay.
And you're using that to create a meaty texture. So if you're missing that texture, which many times it's not the flavor people miss.
Oh, I'm such a texture eater. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that texture, seitan, that is a great substitute, because it has that chewy texture that you're looking for.
Okay. Got it.
And for me, I would have oyster mushrooms on them. And they'd be prepared in the air fryer. That way it would, for someone like yourself, if you were there, you wouldn't even know that it's not chicken.
Right.
It would be crispy. It would be crispy and have the appearance of like a chicken strip or something like that.
Right. But it's a mushroom.
It would also give you that, It would also give you that meaty texture.
Okay.
With the seasoning and herbs, it would be perfect.
Okay. So there's that on the table. I'm assuming an assortment of vegetables on the table. And is vegan gluten-free, or are we talking two different things?
No, two completely different things.
Okay.
So you can be vegan and gluten-free. You can be, there's all kinds of things. You can be vegan, gluten-free. You can be vegan keto.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many like different ways to spin it.
Because you could even be alkaline vegan.
Yes.
Foods that are higher pH and stuff like that.
Boys, go to bed. Yeah, it's so many different types of vegan. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then the other piece I wonder about, because I know here's my downfall. My downfall is sugar. So my downfall is dessert and things like that. So in your world, how is that addressed?
So you can be an unhealthy vegan and you can eat all the sugar in the world you want.
Right.
You can eat Oreos every day.
Yeah. So here's our general rule of thumb, which I think is pretty standard across the fitness and nutrition industry, and that is an 80-20 rule.
Okay.
So it is, crazy for us to think that you are never going to eat any sugar for the rest of your life.
Right.
I do highly recommend detoxing for sugar in the beginning, because what it's going to do is it's going to take that addiction away.
Right.
And it will make it easier for you to have on occasion instead of constantly, because really studies have been shown that sugar is more addicting than heroin.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from experience that the withdrawal symptoms from sugar are real.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So when you talk with your clients about doing a sugar detox, is it simply just stop ingesting sugar for some period of time?
It depends on the client.
Okay.
So everything that we do is personalized to our clients.
Yep.
In general, if they are willing to go all in, which most of ours have been, then yes, and it's included within the meal plan too, what they should eat in place of.
Right.
But when they are detoxing, we do let them know, try to do this over a weekend or a time period that you are not working.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be a really hard 4 days.
Right.
Generally 4 to 5 days is about that detox period. And it just depends on how much sugar that you're consuming and then how well you're hydrating your body during this detox, because the more you can keep hydrated, the faster it's going to flush it out of your body.
Right.
And we have tips and recommendations on things that people can do, because you're going to feel tired, you're going to have headaches, you're going to have nausea. And so things like ginger and peppermint tea are extremely helpful during the process. Just trying to make sure that you're consuming natural products and not adding any other chemicals in during your detox.
Right.
And the thing is, I honestly kind of hate using the word detox just because it's so marketing and commercially thrown out. Because detoxing is something that your body does 24/7 anyway.
Right.
We don't really need to do anything to make our body detox. What we're really doing is saying, to allow your body to actually detox.
Just stop eating sugar.
Adding these toxins.
Right. Yeah. I always find it fascinating, having grown up in the 70s, when that was, the start of the really big movement around everything being low fat. And now realizing how much we missed the boat, that it was not about fat, it was about sugar. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Every time that they say low carbs, low fat, they're replacing it with sugar or sugar additives.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you take that fat out, you're losing some of that flavor.
Yes, you do.
Dump it full of that sugar. Like, oh, here it is, it's fat free.
Yeah.
And all the marketing ties behind healthy choice and these are natural flavorings. There's nothing natural about a natural flavoring.
All right, explain that.
So the reason they call it natural flavorings is because they don't have to include all of the ingredients in the natural flavorings. If it was natural flavoring, they would tell you what was in it.
Really?
These are undisclosed ingredients that get to be called natural flavoring.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So give us an example of what we're not being told is in a natural flavoring.
To be honest, I wish I could tell you, but they're non-disclosed, and unless the companies were to disclose them, I would not be able to tell you what ingredients are in there.
That's the funny thing about America. You don't have to disclose all these things, but these big businesses and stuff like that.
It drives me nuts because I sit here and I think it's almost as if, and I don't take away anyone's personal responsibility, right, for their lives, but it's almost like it's just so many aspects of the system are created to actually work against you.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. We all have to take personal accountability,
Right.
but at the same time, we're being lied to as a whole.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to these marketing ploys, and it's not for maybe not trying or not trying to be aware.
Right.
But many times when you see these things and it's marketed to you in a way that is healthy, you think you're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's the first thing that comes to mind. You go to like a supermarket, you look at something, it says fat free. Okay, this is fat free. I'm gonna grab this instead of the normal one.
Right.
Or you get a diet drink instead of
Right.
a regular one. And we don't as a people think maybe instead of me just looking at the front of the label, maybe I should flip it around and read what's actually inside of it. And then you start reading these words, red dye 50, red 40, yellow 5, and all sorts of stuff. And nobody sits there and think, oh my goodness, this Mountain Dew has like 70 ingredients in it.
That's right.
It has like 70 grams of sugar in one serving, and not knowing, I wonder what this can do to my body.
Yeah.
If I constantly drink this, how is this going to make me feel?
Yeah.
Or if I feed this to my kids constantly for lunch and dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a good point you brought up with about the Mountain Dew. I mean, because that's more than double what the sugar intake you should be having in a day.
Yeah. Right. Right.
One drink.
Right.
Do you know how many Mountain Dews I used to drink a day?
Probably
45.
Yeah. 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 You know, I remember reading somewhere that I'm curious if you would agree with this, that when we're out shopping and especially looking at any kind of packaged food, that for every additional ingredient on the back of the package, you're moving that much further away from a healthy food. Mm-hmm. Right? If they had to add 3 ingredients, 4 ingredients, 10 ingredients, and as you said, Yuri, some of which you can't even pronounce because they come from chemistry class, you're not eating something healthy.
Exactly. And that brings up another great question about the vegan that you were mentioning earlier. There is a Whole Foods vegan. So where you are only eating whole foods and nothing that's processed or pressed. So that is very much something to strive for.
Right.
And again, we try to eat more whole foods. So, but at the same time, it is sometimes hard to find that, and also organic food. So we try to find as many products as we can that are organic, which can be really difficult. But at the same time, just thinking of all the GMOs and all the additives that are in even just an apple, if you're not getting organic. And to be honest, I mean, that's a whole other spinoff of health too. But just the different crossovers and the chemicals that are even in the seeds.
Yeah.
Not even including the pesticides that are sprayed onto the plants as they're growing, but what's already in the seed. The fact that you can't regrow a plant from a GMO seed tells me something.
Yeah, something's not right. Something's not right. Look, I know, like that statistic I read when we came on today about the percentage of lifestyle related illnesses. I mean that stat alone, that here are all of these things that are winding us up sick, not feeling well in the hospital and possibly dead, which is just directly related to how I take care of myself or don't take care of myself, much of which is what's the quality of the fuel that I put in my body. It's a bit maddening when we think about how much the larger system does not help what is already a challenging conversation for most people.
I must say, I love the way you use the term fuel, the fuel you put in your body. Because that's something I've had to talk with a friend of mine, and he's always asked me, well, why are you always eating all these, eating the rainbow and this and that? I was like, man, because the way I view my body, it's like you said, treat it like a sports car.
Yeah.
You want to treat it well so it runs good. Because if you're putting the bottom level of fuel in it, it's not going to sound right.
Right.
It's going to miss gears when it cranks up. It's not going to go as far. You're going to be on the side of the road or constantly needing maintenance and stuff like that. Just treat your body like a sports car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put the proper fuel in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty simple and straightforward concept, right? When you think of it that way. We've just been, I would argue, probably been a bit taught to not think of it that way, that I can put in my body whatever I want to put in, and maybe there's a payment for it, but it's way down the line. And
right. I contributed to an overwhelming amount of misinformation that you can find now.
Yeah.
So instead of having the problem of being really hard to find information on weight loss and health, it is too easy to find information, and it's not usually correct information.
Right. How do you distill what is correct, what's evidence-based, science-based, and not some company's marketing scheme?
Exactly.
Right. If I were to have a conversation with a bunch of your clients, past and present clients, what would they tell me is absolutely awesome about the two of you?
I think just the fact that we're so open with them about what we have gone through, not just in our weight loss, but just everything that we have gone through and overcome. Because to be honest, many times, most of the time, the issue is not with weight loss. It's with overcoming something else that you have currently going on and trying to figure out how to get through that. And the symptom, the side effect of going through, maybe you feel like you're not good enough. Maybe you feel like you're not up to the social standards. Your lifestyle is going to be looked down on, whatever it is. Those side effects generally turn to stress eating and things like that, which lead to becoming overweight.
Yeah.
So it's not generally a weight loss problem that we're dealing with. It's more of an emotional coaching.
Yeah.
And I would think they love the fact how we don't just throw everything at them all at once.
Right.
Just say, stop eating this, stop eating that. You can't have this, you can't have that. Where we're just, okay, we're gonna start at the beginning, small changes, massive impact. Yeah. We're gonna get you hydrated with water.
Right.
That is step one. If you can do that, the rest of it will build on day by day, week by week.
Right.
Small changes, massive impact.
Yeah. Right.
And we're honest. So, like the other day, I was at my mom's house, and my stepdad was like, "I'm going to tell your clients you're eating Oreos." I said, "Do it. I don't care." I said, "They know that we have our meals once in a while. This is a lifestyle. This is not something that I'm sitting here pretending like I don't ever have anything sugary or sweet."
Right.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and make my clients feel bad if they eat something. Right. Just understanding how to get back on track. So, you know, we're completely honest that we have accidents, we mess up, and it's how you regain that course.
There you go. Look, back to what you said earlier about this being, you know, this concept of lifestyle versus the concept of diet, and lifestyle is for the long term, which I would imagine in the world of people changing their behavior is both a comfort and maybe even a bit of the challenge, because I'm assuming sometimes people do come in, and you just said it, Yuri. Do people sometimes come in and they want you to tell them exactly what to do? Here's what you do every moment of every single day, and you know that won't work. But I would imagine for some people, at least at first, there can be a comfort in that versus this long-term vision of, you just said it, small changes day to day, and creating a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, we have had to turn clients away who were looking for just a quick fix, because we don't want we want them to understand that this is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, that's not what we're looking to help with. So
Right.
we may not be the best fit for everyone.
All right. Hey, that is an honest and ethical way to do business, right? This is how we do what we do. Yeah. No, I appreciate that and I respect that. That is not always the most common mindset on the part of people who have a business, to be that honest and that forthright about what you do and what you don't do, and how you do it. If people were interested in getting in touch with the two of you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so you can find us at veganstrongandfit.com, and you can sign up for a free call with us.
Beautiful.
We'll go over any questions that you have. Glad to answer any questions and just kind of give you some tips and tricks to get on the right start. And then if you are interested in working with us, we can definitely go from there. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Vegan Strong and Fit. And we are also co-host of the Strong AF podcast.
Cool. All right. Cool. All right, good. And as always, listeners, whatever platform you happen to be listening on for this podcast episode, look in the episode notes, and I will make sure that that all of that contact information is in the notes. And please reach out to Ashley and Yuri and take advantage of that complimentary conversation and see if this is for you. So, Ashley and Yuri Barber, thank you so much. This has been so informative. I feel like I have finally wrapped my head around what a vegan lifestyle is. And again, as somebody who, although I don't coach in this universe, engages every day in conversation with people who are looking to change, it has always stood out to me how challenging this conversation is for us human beings to really alter our behavior in the name of our health long term, when in the moment it means some pretty significant behavior change. And so I just really appreciate what you do, and I thank the two of you for taking the time to be on here with me today.
Thank you so much.
So I hope everybody enjoyed that, found that helpful, informative. Please take Yuri and Ashley up on their offer to reach out to them and have that complimentary conversation. You have a responsibility to take care of yourself. And as we were talking about, if you don't, then often the decision and the information that you take in is in the hands of an assortment of other people and systems that really, at the end of the day, do not care very much about you and your personal health and wellness. This is a conversation we have to be in personally and be dedicated to for the long haul. And I so appreciate their perspective around moving the conversation away from anything related to diet that begins on this date and ends on this date, and to lifestyle change and to maintaining what your definition is of a healthy and fulfilling and meaningful and happy life. So again, I thank Ashley and Yuri for joining me today. Please keep an eye out for the next episode, and we hope that you will be able to join us as we continue to shine a light on the skill and talent of those individuals that invite another into that compassionate, complex, and intimate space called the Helping Conversation. Everybody have a great day.
We thank you for sitting in on our discussion today on just one unique version of the Helping Conversation. We would love to hear your thoughts on today's podcast, so we sincerely invite you to follow, rate, and most importantly, review our episodes. For more information on Keith Greer and this podcast, log on to keithgreercoaching.com. Please join us for our next episode as we continue the exploration and celebration of the practice, art, and science of the Helping Conversation.